How's it going, SnowTrax YouTube fans? Luke here, bringing you another 2022 new model walk around. This is Yamaha's 2022 Sidewinder X-TX SE. Before I say anything else about this sled, I just need to make a comment. This thing looks awesome. This color combo, and color's subjective, style's subjective. You might hate it, but personally, I think this thing looks rad with the blue, this light blue. They have some fancy color name for it. I don't know. It's like a metallic light blue. That's what I'm going to call it. Orange. I mean, man, this thing just pops. It looks amazing. Now that that's out of the way, let's talk about the important stuff. For this year, this sled has just a couple real minor changes to it. You get handguards with it, this front bumper here. So those are really the only changes. You still have your 998 triple turbocharged Genesis motor. It makes Yamaha says 180 horsepower, and we all know that it's probably more than that. Great motor, everybody loves it. It makes tons of power, feels good, smooth as butter. So no changes there, but definitely lots of good things to say about this power plant. This model has a 146-inch uncoupled rear skid frame, but it's a twin rail and a 2.0 track. So this is your sort of off-trail bias crossover model from Yamaha. That's what this X-TX is designed for. It comes with a little bit taller riser, includes a mountain seat, and it includes the mountain skis. But the most sort of delineating factor between it and the more on-trail focused crossovers is the 40-inch mountain front end. So you got your spindle, your narrow spindle here, 40-inch wide front end. It's not going to handle as good as a full width trail front end, though it doesn't handle terrible. It rides pretty good. The rear end actually rides pretty well, and especially since, and I want to get this right, so I'm going to read my notes here. You have 1.5 Fox Zero QS3 front shocks and a 2.0 Fox Zero QS3 rear arm shock with a 1.5 HPG center shock. So you got a really good shock package here. We love QS3s, as we've said 100 times. They're easy to adjust, and you can change them while you're on the go. If you're on the trail, you want a soft ride, put them on soft. If you get off the trail, you want to firm it up, just click them up. It's super easy to do. I will say that it would make more sense to me on a sled like this to put that center shock with the QS3 as well. My opinion is that a lot of manufacturers overlook the center shock and sort of undervalue it. My opinion is that the center shock is one of the most important shocks in the skid frame. So I think that that's a mistake, but I digress. You have QS3's front and rear arms, so let's be thankful for that. Couple things about this sled. Comes with a low windshield, which looks pretty sweet. You get this small tunnel bag at the back, which is your only storage option on this sled. So keep that in mind. There's not a lot of storage. You do not get the little goggle bag storage thing that goes under here on other models. This is just a cooling grate, plastic cooling grate, which is fine. I think it looks cleaner than the bag, but you do lose that heated storage area. You can get it as an accessory if you really want it, so something to consider. This sled has the standard, Yamaha gauge package. They're all the same. Easy to read, lots of information, no complaints there. Of course, you've got your mountain bar, which is one of the other changes on the X-TX from other models, and your standard Yamaha switch gear, which works really well. As I mentioned on the other Yamaha model we did a walk around on, this sled actually has multiple ways to start it, so you can use the key or you can use the push button starter. There you go. You guys always want to hear it run. You've heard it run. I hope that was good enough. Anyway, so you've got multiple ways to start it, and by the same token, multiple ways to turn it off with your kill button or your key. Not an important point, but just something that's kind of interesting. My instinct when I jump on a Yamaha is still to use the key. I don't know why, but I still just feel like I use the key, and I don't need to do that anymore. So remember, you have push button start. Other switches are all the same. You have a tether here, which is great, especially for an off-trail sled like this or an on-off-trail sled like this, and you have a 12-volt outlet beside the gauge. There is no heated visor outlet on this sled and no heated seat. Arguably, you don't need those things on a crossover sled like this. In terms of trail handling, it's not terrible. As I mentioned, it's not terrible. It's not great, but it's good enough. And if you're the kind of person who wants to ride, on and then off-trail more often, then this is a really good package, and the front end is definitely more than livable. If you're the kind of rider who wants to stay on the trail more often and only venture off the trail once in a while, I would look for the model with the full width front end. That would be a better choice for a rider like yourself. Overall, I think this sled is a really good package. I think that the extra power that you get with this Genesis turbo motor, you know, will get you out of a lot of sticky situations. This sled isn't the lightest crossover, but it is the highest horsepower crossover. So, you know, you can use throttle and track speed to get you out of a lot of weird situations. So that's definitely good. And I have actually ridden this sled off trail quite a bit, and I really like it. It handles really well. It's easy to flick around and move back and forth. It's easy to get a good carve going. I wouldn't say it's as great in the tight stuff as other models, other competitive models, but definitely in the out in the open fields or meadows and stuff, you're pretty hard to beat this thing. It's just so fast, so that's cool. It does come with ice scratcher standard, so that's great, because something that, if you're gonna have a 2-inch track, that's something you gotta have if you're gonna ride trails, and it's something that a lot of manufacturers don't include on their 2-inch crossover sleds. I think it should be standard on all 2-inch crossover sleds to just include scratchers. They're cheap. I don't know, I think they only cost like 30 or 40 bucks to buy them, so why not, right? Other than that, there's not really much else to say about this sled. I like it. I guess something I missed is that it does have double row outboard running boards here, so there's a second row of traction on the very outside of the running board, so that's kind of handy, and definitely gives you a ton of grip for your boots when you're standing off the side of the sled. You know, if you're trying to get a wrong foot forward situation or whatever, you'll never slip off, so that's really good. But other than that, again, there's not a whole lot else to say about it. It's very similar to last year's model with just a few minor changes, and that's good because last year's model worked great. So if this is the kind of sled you want, if this is for you, high horsepower, off-trail bias crossover, here's your sled. Great choice. So with all that said, end of the video. But as always, if you like the video, please click that like button. We always appreciate getting the likes, and if you have something to say, comment. We do read your comments, and we try and respond as much as possible. We're uploading a ton of content this time of year, so it would be a shame for you to miss any of it. So make sure you subscribe to the SnowTrax channel. That way, whenever we do upload a new video, in some cases it's 2 times a day, you won't miss any of it. You'll get a notification, and you'll be watching the best content on YouTube immediately. Anyway, that's all I got to say about this sled. Hope that worked for you guys. Hope it answered some of your questions. Until next time, keep watching SnowTrax.